Hello everyone, and welcome to my 1000 subscriber special, Q&A edition. I got a lot more questions than I thought I would. I did say I would cap it out at 50, and I got pretty close. I got like 40 something. So let's not waste any time. This is gonna be a long one. So strap in, buckle up. I hope you got plenty of snacks. And patience. So I'm gonna start things off with Twitter first, because there was only like 6 or 7 questions on here, and then I'll swap over to YouTube and do the rest of those. Mizusawa starts things off. He actually has 2 questions. His first question is, I just want to know, besides Trails, what other game series are you into? That's a very good question. Actually, a couple of different people kind of asked this same question, so we can kind of bundle them all together, I guess. Other game series that I'm into. Well, I know I've definitely mentioned Xenoblade and Yakuza at least a handful of times on the channel at certain points, but those are definitely up there for me. As far as other series, I love the Ace Attorney series. I used to be massively into Danganronpa. I would still say I'm a fan of those style of games. Well, more so the art style and anything that's in that style that's made from the same people. Like, I was kind of disappointed with Raincoat. I never finished it. I need to go back and finish it at some point in the future. But like, it wasn't a bad game, right? It was just, I just wasn't vibing with it for some reason. But the new game, the 100 Days Academy, I think is what it's called, that looks really cool to me. And I know it's not Danganronpa, but... And then there was also Zenki Zero that had a couple Danganronpa writers on it. That game was awesome. So I just kind of lump all those similar-ish games together. Even though, but yeah, Danganronpa, I was massive. I watched like every single Let's Play on YouTube for that series back in the day when I first found it. But yeah, the fan base, we don't talk about the fan base. You think the Trails fan base is bad? Oh, brother, you have no idea. Other series though. Because it's like series means multiple, not like one-off, not like single games. I'm a huge FromSoft fan. I love Souls-like games. Bloodborne, my absolute favorite. Elden Ring, amazing. Dark Souls 1, fantastic. Dark Souls 2, hot take, I liked it quite a bit. Yeah, it was kinda, it was kinda jank, but I liked it. It was a good kind of jank, for me at least. It was fun, I had fun with it. I have not played Dark Souls 3, really can't wait for that game. I haven't played the Elden Ring DLC, and I have not played Sekiro. So I do have a decent amount of FromSoft titles to look forward to. Oh, and Demon Souls, I never played that one either. Let's see, what other Japanese studio series? I used to be a big fan of Persona. I would still say I am, but recently I kinda have sort of not fallen off the hype train for Persona, but just kinda... Like, I'll pay attention to it, but I don't really get excited when I hear Persona being mentioned anymore. SMT, on the other hand, oh brother, I love the SMT games. As good as the mainline series is, SMT 3, phenomenal. SMT 4 is peak. 4 is peak. Apocalypse was really good, not as good as mainline 4. SMT 5, I have not played it. I'm really looking forward to playing Vengeance at some point. But the spin-offs for SMT is where it's at. Oh man, Devil Survivor, Digital Devil Saga, Raito Kuzunoha. Those games are phenomenal. Strange Journey? Ooh. Yes, please. Okay, let's see. What about Western studios? I don't really talk about Western studios much. Well, it's more because it's more nostalgia. There really hasn't been anything modern Western. I guess you could say Baldur's Gate, not Pillars of Eternity, but... Divinity Original Sin. Larian Studios, good games, very good. Yes, I approve. I still need to go back and play more Baldur's Gate 3. I've not finished it. But I used to be a massive BioWare nut. I loved Dragon Age Origins. That is still probably one of my top games of all time. I actually really like Dragon Age 2. And Dragon Age Inquisition was really fun the first couple times through. I was also, I mean, it goes without saying, Dragon Age pairs up with Mass Effect pretty much. The Mass Effect trilogy, we're not going to talk about the ending, alright? The ending sucked. Ending kind of ruined my love for the series for a little bit there. But despite the ending, cutting off the ending, Just that whole section, just no. Just everything after Shepard deals with the elusive man, and I almost called him Admiral Akbar. Anderson. Oh, Anderson. Oh, my boy. But just the Mass Effect trilogy as a whole is so good. I love those games. Other series, I mean, Bethesda, a lot of people say they're mid-studio. Yeah, kinda. But their games are like crack. You get addicted to them. It's such a simple formula. Morrowind, Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4. I haven't played Starfield yet. Would like to, but I don't know when I would get to it. But man, the amount of hours I had. Fallout 3 single-handedly carried me through all my high school life. Oh my gosh. I probably have thousands of hours in all of those games combined. I love the Zelda games. I love all the Mario games. I'm really excited for Brothership. I never thought we would get another Mario and Luigi game, so that's super exciting for me. Now, if we could get a new Paper Mario Nintendo, you know, in the style of Thousand Year Door. I mean, I'll also take Super Paper Mario. I love that game too. Just don't make another Sticker Star, please. That game was so... I was so baffled when I played that game. I was like, really? This is what you turned Paper Mario into? I was defeated. I was just absolutely defeated. I couldn't even finish like the first major boss of that game. I gave up. I called it quits. Threw in the towel. Can't do it, coach. You're gonna have to find somebody else. There are probably a couple other series I could think of that I really like, but those are really the ones that have popped up into my head. So yeah, you got a nice long, girthy comment. As far as the first question goes, this is a sign.
Here's your sign.
It's gonna be this is definitely a sign. All right, let's move on to question 2. What are some of my favorite anime? All right, this is easy. All right, I'm super casual when it comes to anime. I love shonen anime. I grew up with Toonami, old school Toonami. So I watched basically everything that was on Toonami back in the day. I watched all of it. So Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Yu Yu Hakusho, Ghost in the Shell. What was the mecha anime? It wasn't Gundam something. It was it Big O? Might have been that. I remember watching Zoids. I watched Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. I know that wasn't on Toonami, but so I grew up with a lot of shonen anime, and that's kind of carried over into just how I am as a person. I get super hype very easily, which is gonna lead into another question. But yeah, I love shonen anime. My Hero Academia, as far as recent anime. Demon Slayer, I really enjoy. I love the Steins Gate anime. That is the best example. It's my go-to example of, hey, here was something that was a video game that was adapted into another form of media perfectly, in my opinion. There hasn't been anything as good, to me at least. God, I could watch the Steins Gate anime forever. It makes me so emotional watching some of those scenes, man. And Monster is another show that I absolutely love. I know that's not a shonen, it's a seinen, I think, right? That's what it's categorically called. But that show, man, what a trip that show was. The Magnificent Steiner. Let's see, Death Note is another one that I really like. Just the mind games between Yagami and L were just so good. There's probably a couple more. I'll probably, if I remember them, I'll mention them later. But alright, the next person. Okay, Kit Crow says, he has 2 questions as well. Where do you think Trails will go after Kai, since it will be 85 to 90%, supposedly, according to Kondo? Take it with a grain of salt. We all know that man lies through his teeth all the time. So, yeah, you know. Do I think there will be another arc, or are we heading into the grand final game? Personally, I don't think it's 90%. There's just no way. There's no way. There's so much that we don't know. I'm not going to bring up any spoilers or anything for the series, by the way, so don't worry about that front. There's so many just things about the world that we don't know, so many aspects of the world that we haven't seen, so many members from the different organizations we haven't met yet. Like, there's so many that it's like, there's no way that's going to be 90% in Kai. There's no way. Can't be. 90% of what? What is 90%? What does that even mean? Does that mean Kondo's 90% of the way to his next yearly bonus? Is that what that meant? I don't think it's gonna be the final game after that. I think we're gonna have at the very least another arc and then the finale. But I'm predicting at least 2 more full arcs, whether that means anywhere from like 2 to 3 games per arc. So I think we've got a long way to go until the series is done. Unless they just really do surprise me and they just somehow fit so much development into Kai and it all just makes sense. I just don't know how they could fit all that stuff in one game without it just feeling like it's moving too quickly. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that matter. And as far as the second question, what draws me to Trails and why have I stayed for so long? So that question kind of connects back to the previous question where I was talking about favorite anime. Trails at its core is very anime. It's very shonen inspired. And that part of me really enjoys those aspects of Trails. I love the hype moments. I love watching the characters overcome these obstacles in their way and just seeing them train and get stronger and learning these new abilities, never giving up. That's why Lloyd is my favorite protagonist, because he just embodies the very essence of what I love about a shonen protagonist. And some people would say, oh, that just makes him super generic, but it's like, have you seen those man's speeches? Especially at the end of Reverie. Oh my gosh, when that man speaks, I shut up and I listen. And why have I stayed for so long? Well, I'll have you know, I haven't really been around very long. In terms of the community, I've really only been active for maybe a year-ish. And I only discovered the games about 3-4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. Because I got into the series, Cold Steel 3 was already out. And I think Cold Steel 4 was about to come out when I started playing the games. Well, I don't think it was about to come out. I think it had been announced. I don't remember specifics off the top of my head right now, specific dates, but yeah. Well, just essentially, Trails just has a lot of things that I like. And it does loop back to shonen anime and like those days, because I grew up with it. But it's also just the fact that Trails is so... It has so many tropes that it uses, but it utilizes those tropes in very smart ways, and sometimes even very deceptive ways. Because they make you think, oh, this thing is gonna happen, and then no, it doesn't. It never does. Something completely opposite happens, and you're just like, what? Huh? But Trails also taught me a very important lesson. It taught me to be a little more patient when it comes with games. Because as we know, the beginnings of arcs can be pretty slow at times, and a lot of people really just bounce off of that so quickly, because we live in an age of instant gratification. And just people don't have the patience to sit and slowly learn about things and digest things and become engrossed in things anymore. And that's honestly why Trails will never be mainstream. And honestly, I'm totally fine with that. Because we've seen what happens when other series go mainstream. Persona 5. Now they have a reputation where Persona 5 fans don't even play the game. They don't even play their game that they say they love. Persona 5 fans will never escape the allegations. And then we hit the point where it's just every JRPG just gets referenced to Persona 5, not just Trails, but everything. It's like, oh, it's like this thing in Persona 5, it's like that thing in Persona 5. It's like, guys, other games besides Persona 5 exist. Other games did things that Persona 5 did before Persona 5 did. Did you know that there's this game called Persona 4? Did you guys know of that game? Do you know how numbers work?
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean? Where are they broadcast?
I don't know anything about any numbers.
Okay, anyway, yeah. That's kind of a bit rambly, but hopefully that answered the question. I see we're experiencing a trend. Everyone's asking multiple questions, which is fine. Hey, I'm okay with it. Hope you guys are okay with it. I'm just here to ramble, just talk, chat, have fun. Just a whisper. His first question is, I'm curious to know what your opinion on Rufus is. Rufus. I think you mean, oh gosh, can I do it? Lord Rufus! I can't do that justice.
Lord Rufus!
Oh my gosh. My opinion on Rufus, to not go into spoiler territory, he went from a somewhat interesting character, to one of my least favorite characters, to one of my most favorite characters. And I'll leave it at that. What do I think Van's conclusion will be in Kai? Because I haven't finished Kuro 2, I don't really know the full story of that game yet, but based off of what happened in the first game, and the things that were revealed at the end, with all that stuff, if you know, you know. I'm not gonna specifically say it. I don't, because in Kai we see him at the very end. He is in a location that is very interesting. I mean, maybe it'll just be him sort of having his Reen arc. I hate to compare him to Reen because they're not really similar, but or maybe even Kevin, where he just like comes to terms with everything that he's gone through, and he just learns to let people in more and prop him up instead of him carrying the weight of the world all by himself. I definitely think Van will be the one to unearth a lot of secrets, we'll say. Will it be all of the secrets? I don't know. We'll have to wait until Kai comes out, but I definitely think Van will be responsible for solving the crisis that occurs in Kai that was foretold in a previous game. That's what I think his conclusion will be on a narrative level and on a more personal level. Okay, RB2 Rex says, I'm curious what your favorite games are that aren't RPGs or JRPGs. Okay, so I went through that whole laundry list of favorite series. But okay, here's where I can sprinkle in a couple of my other favorite games to play. I'm a big survival game nut. Ark Survival Evolved, The Long Dark. I mean, that's where I get the backgrounds from, the fireplace backgrounds. I get that from The Long Dark. I also love Project Zomboid, 7 Days to Die. That one is probably one of my favorite survival games, along with The Long Dark. Pretty much there isn't really a genre that I don't like, outside of sports games and kind of racing games, but not really, because I have played a couple racing games in the past. And I grew up playing some racing games too, so not that I don't like them, it's just that I don't really have the desire to play them anymore, or at least as much as I used to. Let me look at my shelf. Oh, I forgot about the Mafia games. Those games are really good. Oh, the Just Cause games. Those are just perfect. You just shut your brain off and you go around just causing chaos, blowing everything up in sight. Oh, man. Oh, the voice acting in 2 was so perfect. It was so bad, but it was so bad that it was good. I didn't even talk about Metal Gear as a series. Oh my gosh, wow. I should have looked at my shelf before. Ooh, the XCOM games. I love those games too. Oh, the Metro series. I didn't talk about that series. That series is very underrated. Oh, Kingdom Hearts. Exodus is gonna have a fit. He's like, you didn't mention Kingdom Hearts. His favorite series. Oh, yeah. May your heart be your guiding key indeed. Kingdom Hearts 4. When is that coming out? Nomura, give us the details. Ooh, Azura's Wrath was a very awesome game. That game was very just super shonen. Anime flashy fight scenes and cutscenes and all kinds of just cool stuff. Ooh, the Darkness series. I highly doubt anybody here will know what those games are. They were based off of this comic book series. I forget the guy's name, but those games were really good. They had a story that really surprised me, especially back then, because when I played games that were like first-person shooter style games, I didn't go into them expecting them to have really good stories or really compelling characters. Like, some of them were pretty good, but that game just blew me away with the story that it told. It was such an emotional story, especially in the first game. And it's just that it's been a game series that I have not forgotten about to this day. Unfortunately, the second game, the studio behind it shut down. It ended on a cliffhanger, and we're most likely never gonna see another one, which is unfortunate. Oh my gosh, I didn't even bring up Fire Emblem. What kind of fan am I? There's too many games I like, man. But yeah, Fire Emblem. Would you consider those JRPGs in a sense? I mean, I know they're tactical strategy games. They're strategy RPGs, but they also share a lot in common with JRPGs. But yeah, my favorite Fire Emblem games are 9 and 10, the Tellius arc. I also really loved Awakening, and I liked Engage. I don't think it's as bad as some people say, but it's definitely one of the more like mid-tier Fire Emblems. I like it more than Binding Blade. I really liked Sacred Stones. I also really enjoyed Echoes. Okay, I think that's enough blathering about games for now. So let's move over to YouTube comments. Alright, it's been, how long has it been? It's been 30 minutes. Good, that's a good side. Alright, Overlord Kazakh has 2 questions for me, if that's cool. Yeah, that's cool, man. His first question is, in general, what game has had a big impact on you as a gamer, as in learning an important life lesson, or just having a special gaming memory? That's a good question. Well, as far as a special gaming memory, I do have one with Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door. Back then, I was given a GameCube, which actually I still have it, I'm looking at it right now. And it still works perfectly fine, all these years later. They don't make them like they used to, huh? But back when I was given my GameCube and I had that game, I didn't have a memory card for the longest time. So I was never able to save my progress in any of the games that I had. But the Thousand-Year Door was the one that I always played, so I have like the beginning prologue section and all of Chapter 1 just fully memorized in my head. I got so good at it that I could go through all the prologue and get all the way up to the top of Hooktail's Tower in like a little over an hour, maybe 2 hours. Like I could literally speedrun that whole section. And it's like, I never got sick of it. It was fun. It was sort of like a challenge to myself. Like, oh, let's see how quickly I can get through it this time. And it's like, yeah, I always did want to save the game. I always wanted to continue, keep going through the story. And eventually I did get a memory card, so I did eventually get to play through the whole game, and man, was that a special game. There was even a short period of time where I would replay the game once a year, just to relive the memories. And to just be like, yeah, no, this game still holds up. It's still amazing. I did the same thing with Pokemon Coliseum for a time as well. But as far as a game that's had a big impact on me, well, outside of the Trails games, obviously, right? This is gonna come out of nowhere, but I would probably say Gears of War. Without going into spoilers, there's a scene, the camaraderie, and the brotherly relationship that Dom and Marcus had. And then, you know, if you know, when you get to that one scene, it's just me and my friend, we played through that game together. And I don't know, man, we got to that scene, and because we were playing it together, talking to each other through the voice chat, that moment just really stuck out to me. And it was just like, man, you really gotta just appreciate the people around you for as long as you can, because you never know. At any moment, they could be taken from you. Which loops back to, well, Estelle's speech at the end of Sky 3rd. It just really hit me on an emotional level, and it's something that I've just never forgotten. Okay, and the second part of his question is, what JRPGs are I most looking forward to playing? It can be something upcoming or even an older JRPG that I've wanted to play. As far as new or upcoming games, well, I already mentioned Mario and Luigi Brothership, but there's Yakuza, well, it's not Yakuza 8, but it's Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I really can't wait to play that game. The new Zelda looks really cute and fun. Deca Police, Kingdom Hearts 4, whenever that eventually comes out. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink was a game that I was really interested in playing. As far as older games, in terms of my backlog, Chrono Trigger is a big one. That's one that, once I finish Kuro 2, I'll be jumping straight into that. So I'm really looking forward to getting to that one. And I know it's a shorter game, so thankfully it won't take very long compared to Kuro 2. Let me actually go through my backlog real quick. I don't remember a lot of my backlog games. Oh, I would really like to get into the Atelier games. Those games just seem cozy and fun. I would really like to play a Dragon Quest game one of these days. I do own Dragon Quest XI, and I've heard that's one of the better ones, but I know it's also insanely long. And yeah, there's the Dragon Quest III remake that's coming out too. And they said that one was okay to start with because it's a prequel to the first 2 games. There's the Gothic series that I'd like to get into. What's it called? Shadowrun? Or Shadowrunner? Something like that. There's those old school like isometric games that I'd like to play one day. I need to play Grandia 2 at some point. I've heard that's the best one. I want to go back and play the older Falcom games like Xanadu Next, Gurumin, Zwei, Zwei 2. Oh, right, I never did the DLC for Lost Judgment, the Kaito Files stuff. Oh, the Metroid Prime games. I've only played Metroid Prime 1, but the Metroid Prime 2 and 3, I'd like to play those games. I know there's a couple other side games that tie into 4. I'd probably need to play those too. Old Man's Journey, Papers, Please. Oh, I've never played the Resident Evil games either. Well, I mean, technically, I've played Resident Evil 1. Yeah, it's called Shadowrun, okay. Oh, Skies of Arcadia. That's a game that I've never played before either. And I do own the original game. Well, actually, no, it's a Dreamcast game. I own the GameCube version. I would like to play Star Wars Jedi Survivor and whatever the other one was. I would like to play those newer Star Wars games eventually. Oh yeah, Thimbleweed Park. That was that indie, like, sort of detective game. That caught my interest. I forgot. I think I own it on Switch. I bought it during a sale. I've never played Tyranny either. Oh, I need to play Valkyria Chronicles 4. I really enjoyed Valkyria Chronicles 1. 2 was alright, but 1 was really good. And I can't play 3 because it's Japanese only. I'll get into the East games later. Those are just some games that I'd like to play. Alright, Quarantine Sen asking the real question here. Top 10 Kiseki Waifus, sir. Please and thank you. Well, I'm not gonna do a traditional top 10 where it's like, oh, number 1 is this character, number 2 is this character, because that'd be too hard. So I'm just gonna give 10 characters. I guess I'll just go through arcs. So, Liberal arc. There's Bestel, obviously. Come on. Estelle is absolutely gonna be one of my top waifus. Annalise, for sure. Please, Falcom, please bring our girl Annalise back. She is invincible. Chloe for sure. She's definitely second best girl for me, as far as from the Sky Crew. Is there anybody in Crossbell? Like, not really. I mean, like, kinda Wendy and Bennett, but like, are they like top 10? No? Oh, I forgot Reese. How could I forget Reese? Oh my gosh, I skipped over Reese. Reese, I'm sorry. I'll take you to a buffet later to make up for it. Okay, so who is that? That's, okay, so Estelle, Annalise, Reese, Chloe, that's 4, okay. Okay, now we're moving into Cold Steel. B, Laura, for sure. This might be a shock to some people. Becky. Yep, an NPC has made it to top 10. I just love Becky's character. I think she's just so funny.
You gotta go balls out, Hugo.
Toa. Come on, how could you not love that tiny bundle of sunshine? She's like a mini Estelle. She can fit in your pocket. You can take her with you. When you're having a bad day, just pull out your teeny toe and everything's all better. Oh, Olivia was right. Falcom, come on, where is it? Where's the Toa merch? Where's the Toa merch with the big old hat? We need it right now. I would buy 30 copies. Nadia. I absolutely love Nadia. And to think that she would become one of my favorite characters in such a short time frame was something that I genuinely was not expecting.
Where are my royalties?
And I honestly can't wait to see what Falcom does with all of those characters in the future. And last but not least, is this gonna be a shock? I mean, if you guys have watched the Daybreak, any of the Daybreak videos, Judith. I just love Judith. Oh yeah, sorry Kevin. Duvalie is up there. She probably would be 11 for me, but she's not 10. I like the other ones just a skosh more than Duvalie. I mean, I guess Shirley's kind of up there, but she's one of those where it's like she's crazy, but she's kind of hot, crazy. I love Alphen. She's such a troll. I just love how she just constantly messes with Reen, Elise. But yeah, it's like, for me, Alphen is better than Muse, even though I do really like Muse. But I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of the characters. Like even like Rosine or Emma, right? There's too many good characters in this game. Not even just like strictly female characters, but just a lot of the guy characters are just awesome too. Like, how does a series this massive create so many characters that are just so consistently good? How do they do it? How did they do it? That's crazy to me. Anyway, yeah, there's my top 10. I hope it was satisfactory. Alright, we move on to xCloud Egads. I don't I'm not gonna say those last 3 letters. His question: what is my favorite NPC in Liberl, Crossbell, Arabonia, and Calvard? Well, okay, Liberl, absolutely Anton. It's just, he's just the best NPC, probably in the entire series. For Liberl, it's Anton. Crossbell, I really like Haas, the balloon guy, but was he my favorite? I don't know. I really like Oscar. I think Oscar is great. I do like Wendy a lot too, but more so for her connection with Lloyd. Does Harold count as an, I mean, yeah, I guess he is an NPC. I really like Harold. Sergey is pretty great too. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with Oscar. I loved checking in on him and seeing what kind of crazy new bread concoction he was cooking up. And just the rivalry between him and Bennett was so good. Yeah, Oscar is my man for Crossbell. Arabonia is interesting, cause I mean, I already said Becky was one of my top 10, so Becky is definitely up there. But in order to not pick another of the same character, what would be like a second favorite? Or is Becky even my favorite? Because I really like Thomas. I think Instructor Thomas is hilarious and just amazing. I love him. I also love Elliot's dad. Zeno and Leo are pretty good. But then there's 4 games. Does Osborne count as an NPC? I mean, he's not playable, but he's a main character. I know in terms of NPCs, if the characters we go around and we talk to them, and they're not directly involved in the main story. So I can't cheat and say Osborne. But yeah, Thomas is goated. Heinrich is low-key kind of goated because of his love for Risha. Oh my gosh. I do like Lind and Vivi, but I like Becky more than both of them. Beryl. Can I say Beryl? Am I allowed to say Beryl? I'd love just her very nature, how she's either the most massive troll plant that Falcom has ever created, or she's gonna secretly end up being like the key to the truth of the world or something. Arabonia has a lot of really great NPCs. I really like Annabelle and what is Kenneth Lakelord. I really like those two. They were kind of like the Estelle and Joshua of Crossbell, where I always loved finding them and just stalking them and seeing what they were up to. I also like Mint. Oh my gosh, I haven't even talked about any of the Thor's Branch Campus students. Freddy is the goat. Oh, Freddy. I also like Sandy's connection to a certain other character. As far as favorite NPC, that's not Becky. Yeah, I guess I'll just say Beryl. She's just a lot of fun. She's a fun character. Calvard. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but there's in Old Town of Edith, the Orbital Factory. Is her name Rebecca? But she has a lot of really funny moments with Van and the cast. Also, the father of the church in Old Town, Van he slowly corrupts him in the ways of cars. Oh, he's kind of cool too. Oh no, who am I kidding? Dingo Brad. He's absolutely my favorite NPC from Daybreak. You know, ever since we got that little taste of him at the end of Reverie, I was very interested in his character, and he did not disappoint. And I'll leave it at that. Nega Joe says, which 10 playable characters would you omit from the Trails series? Whether because you personally dislike them, for reasons all your own, or think the series can benefit or be unchanged from their omission. Interesting question. Remember, they have to have been playable at one point. And I can make it a top 5 if it's just like, yeah, I'll probably go top 5 just to make things easier. Oh, Angelica. Bye-bye. Bye, Angelica.
Unanimously, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Do I want to go into it? I don't really want to go into it. I just think she had a lot of potential that they just didn't expand upon, and they just didn't explore fully. Like, she could have been such a good character. She had potential, but just they threw it away for funny haha moments that I personally just did not like. So I think getting rid of Angelica, you could work the story of the Cold Steel games around that, and it would be totally fine. Are there any in Sky that I could omit? They're all kind of important in Sky. Even Josette, as much as I would be like, well, sorry Josette, you're the weakest link. She is kind of important in terms of the story. I mean, I guess they could have done that stuff with the other Kapuas and not had Josette, but I mean, her rivalry with Estelle is too good. Does this technically counts? Kurt, as unfortunate as that sounds coming out of my mouth, and I don't mean Kurt Cold Steel 3 Kurt, I mean Sky Kurt. He was technically playable at one point, or one mission. He, unfortunately, I thought he was going to be a bigger role in the story, and he really didn't do much. Apparently there was more with him and what ended up happening to him, and that whole thing, but they didn't really expand upon it in the games. That was in, I think it was in the manga that they talked about it more. The Louve manga. As much as I love Doodles, I think you probably could take Dudley out and not a whole lot would really change. Like, yeah, he was Guy's partner and he was there for other things that happened, but like his role in those games wasn't super important, super integral to the plot. And as far as Cold Steel, Reen, we don't need Reen, get him out of here. No, I'm just kidding. As much as I like him, probably Elliot or Gaius. They have nice character moments in Cold Steel 1 and 2, but outside of that, they really don't contribute much to the main story. So you could probably definitely cut out their character and cut out all of those moments and write around where that stuff would have been, or just omitted it entirely, and not a whole lot would be lost. So that's my 5 characters. That was kind of a rough question. I had to really think on that one. Alright, Master Gundam says, what am I looking forward to the most from Kai no Kiseki? Story, world, or characters? As much as I'm looking forward to learning more truths about the world and seeing how a lot of things finally, hopefully, maybe tie together, I'm actually looking forward the most to the characters, to seeing all the returning characters. I'm hoping they have not shown every single returning character, that they are keeping some surprises for us, and just seeing all of them interacting with each other. It's definitely the characters for me, especially if you've been paying attention to the promotional material. Yeah, you should know who I'm looking forward to seeing, and especially who he's with, especially that group of characters. It's just like, what? Okay, sure. Oh man. Alright, Crux26 says, as far as his first question, is there a specific theme, story, or setting I would like to see in a new IP from Falcom after they finish the Trails story, or before? In terms of setting, I mean, Trails kind of is like a mishmash of like everything. It's got fantasy, it's got medieval, it's got futuristic, it's got like modern stuff, it's got mechs, futuristic elements, like ancient prophecies and higher beings and stuff. Honestly, yeah, we've been talking about this recently. I would like to see Falcom's take on either a Warriors style game or a traditional 2D fighting game. I think it could be with Trails characters, it could be entirely new characters, and with, you know, Trails and East characters as like cameo characters or like guest characters. But I think those two styles of games would definitely be perfect and fit right in the wheelhouse of Falcom's repertoire, because they've created platformers and they've created, especially with the current gameplay system that they have in the Calvard games, I think they could do a warrior style game pretty well. Just add like a higher move pool, add all kinds of different like special attacks, and we've already seen the animations go insane for Kai, so a warrior style game would actually be really awesome. You could even set it in during the War of the Lions. Hey, there you go. And I mean, just a traditional fighting game. I'm not the biggest fighting game person, but I do think that would be really fun. It's just like a really well-polished fighting game from Falcom with a bunch of their characters would be awesome. Even if it's in like the style of like a Smash Brothers, like a party fighter, would still be really fun. Second question, any fun video game related memories or stories? Well, I shared the memory card one earlier. Let me see if I can think of another one. Okay, here's one. I don't know how fun this will necessarily be. I'm a huge animal lover. I love animals, dogs especially. And throughout my life, I've had quite a lot of dogs. I played a lot of Nintendogs when I was young. And I still have the copy of my game, but I ended up basically adopting, in the game, a breed of dog for every dog that I had that was currently alive at the time. So I had a Golden Lab, I had a German Shepherd, and I had a Shih Tzu. And so I have all three of those dogs in my little house. I think it was like one of the most expensive houses you could buy in the game. But like it was so much fun just creating them in the game and having them there and taking them for walks and playing with them and doing the little going to the frisbee tournaments and stuff. Like those were really fun, and especially long since after they've passed away, I would occasionally boot up the game and, well, you know, I have them forever immortalized in the game. So it's nice to just go down memory lane every now and then and turn on the game and be like, oh my gosh, it's been like 2 years since I played the game. You guys are so dirty. You need a bath. Hold on. And then I play with them. I had all kinds of like the little RC toys, the robot toys. Oh, and I love the little records you could play too. Yeah, it's kind of a bittersweet one, but I did try to frame it in more of a fun way. But it is just nice that it's like I have memories with them just forever immortalized in a video game. I just think that's cool. Rio Fernando says, what other game, not from Falcom, that I wish would have a crossover or a collab with Trails? Honkai Star Rail is the one that jumps into my head, mainly for the reason that they have the funds to make a crossover, really high quality crossover, especially in regards to if they bring over, whether it's like one character or a couple characters, they would just look really cool. They'd have some awesome movesets. Their ultimates would probably look insanely flashy. As far as another game series, I think a crossover with Tales, the Tales of series. You could give the characters just all kinds of different moves and combos, and I mean, I feel like Trails characters would just transition into the Tales style of gameplay very seamlessly, honestly. So I think that could open up a lot of really interesting scenarios. And I mean, you know, a lot of people who aren't familiar with Trails or Tales get the two conflated because the names do sound kind of similar. Hey, the boy Mad Kaiser. He has 2 questions for me. Where did I come up with the name Cyrus Bright? Well, this is actually a very easy one. First, the last name, Bright. I don't think I need to explain it, but it's the last name of the Bright family from Trails in the Sky. And Cyrus is a name that's actually from... I actually took it directly from the leader of Team Galactic, from Diamond and Pearl. Just because I thought the name was cool. Just back then when I played the game, I was like, oh, I'd never heard the name Cyrus before, and I was just like, oh, that's such a cool sounding name. And as I was thinking of a name, I was like, well, there's a first name that I could use. And I was like, well, I need a last name, right? So, I mean, I had just recently played the Trails games, and I was going to make a Trails-related channel. So it was just like, just use Bright. Which is funny because I have searched my name out of curiosity just to see like if there was any other people using a similar name. And what pops up in Google is a bunch of Miley Cyrus-related stuff. I was like, oh no. And on to his second question. What made me think of doing the Trails Tuber format with cozy fireplaces when making your videos? That's a very interesting question. See, my mindset was, because I don't use a camera and I don't show my face, I was thinking, what can I do for those moments of downtime when I would be naturally showing my face? And I thought of the fireplace idea as like, oh, I'd like to create this sort of cozy, warm, kind of welcoming environment for the videos, and I was like, oh, a fireplace would be, you know, the perfect backdrop. And of course I was like, well, I can't just have a fire, like a roaring fireplace in the background. That'd be boring, right? Nobody wants to watch that for, you know, however long I end up using it between break periods in the videos. And so I was like, let me use a Trails character as far as sort of a stand-in for myself. And so I started looking, and I was like, I love the sky portraits. There's so many of them to choose from. There's so many, a wide variety of emotions and expressions. And I was looking through them, and I'm like, who would most fit my personality? I did think of Olivier at first, because I really like Olivier. He's one of my favorite characters in the series. But then I was like, you know what? Nah, my boy Kevin. He doesn't get a whole lot of love. Well, I mean, I guess he does. He does have a pretty decent following now that I have noticed. But back then I was like, oh, I see everyone talking about, Estelle, Lloyd, Reen. I hardly had seen anybody bring up Kevin. So I was like, yeah, I'm all for rooting for the underdog. And I mean, Kevin's toothy grin, I think that definitely fits my personality pretty well, along with a lot of his other expressions. So there you go. I kind of answered the question with 2 answers. So I hope that was satisfactory. Alright, Monkey Matter says, what JRPGs do I think are overrated or ones that I just don't like? See, that's hard for me because there's not a whole lot that I don't like. Mainly when I play games, the lowest that I would feel about a game was like, it was alright. But like, it takes a really bad game. Like, I also don't really play bad games. Like, I play what I'm interested in, but what I'm interested in is usually good games. As far as a JRPG that I think is overrated, this might be a hot take. It might ruffle some feathers. I would definitely say Final Fantasy. I would say is very overrated, in my opinion. Now, to be entirely fair, I'm a very new-gen Final Fantasy-er. Is that a word? I haven't really played very many of the old Final Fantasies. I have played Final Fantasy IX. That's my favorite Final Fantasy. That was actually the first Final Fantasy that I ever played back on the PS1. I don't even remember how I came across that game, or how I even obtained it. But yeah, I had it and I played it. And it had 4 discs. Remember when games had multiple discs? Doesn't Rebirth have 2 discs, or was that Remake that had 2 discs, or do they both have 2 discs? I don't know. But like, yeah, I played Final Fantasy 13, I've played Final Fantasy 12 recently. I've played 14 up to Stormblood. And I don't really even consider 14 to be like a true Final Fantasy. Like, it's kind of its own thing within Final Fantasy. I've played 15, and I've played 7. I haven't played, and I've technically played Final Fantasy 1, but I haven't played 2 through 6. I haven't played 8. I have played 10, but I've never beaten it. And of course, I never played 11. That was the MMO one, I believe. I never played 13-2, and I never played Lightning Returns. And I haven't played 16 yet, because I don't have a PS5. Every Final Fantasy that I've played, I've never walked away thinking, wow, this is one of the best games I've ever played. And I went into Final Fantasy VII, because that game is constantly praised as being the best piece of, not even like the best JRPG, but it's praised as like the best video game ever created by so many people. And so I went in with stupidly high expectations, and of course, the game didn't meet them. The game was good, I liked it, but because I had such high expectations of its reputation, when I finished the game, I was just kind of like, that's it? That's all it was? Like, the game is good. To me, it's like an 8 out of 10, but it's not this crazy Omega masterpiece that so many people put it up on a pedestal and worship it as, in my opinion at least. So yeah, I definitely would say Final Fantasy. I hope everyone is still here and is not clicked off. And yeah, like, I'm not saying the games are bad. I just think the games are either average or above average. Like, I would say Xenoblade is a far better series than Final Fantasy. I would say Xenogears is much better than anything that I have experienced with Final Fantasy. Xenogears was phenomenal, jeez. Anyway, yeah, moving on. From the Final Fantasy slander with Cyrus Bright, your host. Okay, Ezekiel the Roach says, what was my first experience with JRPGs? And most importantly, how did I get into the Trails series? Well, to quickly go over that last comment, I did talk about this in my previous subscriber milestone video, which was 106 subscriber special. Man, I've come a long way in a relatively short time. That is still wild to me to even think. Like, I didn't even think I would realistically get, you know, past 100, let alone over 1,000. Now I'm at 1,100 as I'm speaking right now. Okay, so yeah, how I got into the Trails series. I was in a phone call with my friend, and I heard some talking through his TV speakers, and there was something about a character flirting with their instructor, and I was like, what has happened? What game is he playing? I was just like, bro, what are you playing? And he's like, it's just this game called Legend of Heroes. He didn't tell me the title of it. He didn't tell me the full name of it. He just very nonchalantly just said Legend of Heroes and left it at that. And I was just like, okay. So that I eventually, like, they were talking about, I vaguely remember them talking about Crossbell and some other things. And I was like, you know what? It sounds like he's doing important story stuff. I don't want to hear any of this. I don't want to get spoiled if I eventually do decide to play these games. So I hung up the call, and it was maybe like 6 months later, I ended up stumbling upon Trails and this guy FC, and I was like, oh hey, that's the same Legend of Heroes game. And this was on the Vita, by the way, so yeah, I played the super scuffed version of Trails and this guy, where Zin was actually called Zane. And it did not have turbo. Yeah, that version did not have turbo. I didn't know the games didn't have turbo at the time, so I didn't feel like I was missing out, but then once I played third on PC, I was like, oh my gosh, the games have turbo? What? Yeah, I played FC. I got to Nebel Valley, which Nebel in German means mist. I remember I looked that up specifically back in that video. But I got to Nebel Valley, I got lost. I wasn't super gripped by the story or anything at that point, so I actually dropped the game. And I believe it wasn't for another 4 or 5 months. It was quite a while. I went and played other games that had my more immediate attention, and then I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, I have Trails in the Sky. And there was just something about it that I was like, I feel like there was something I was missing. I feel like it just, for some reason, like it is a good game, but something just didn't click. So I was like, alright, I'm gonna give it another shot. And so I played it, I started over from the very beginning, and ever since the first cutscene where Estelle was like, what, my present is a boy? I was paying more attention, I was getting more invested in the characters, I was paying more attention to the NPC dialogue, and I remember being like just super impressed. I was like, wow, the NPCs are having these full-blown conversations with the main cast. I'm like, what? In what other games does this really happen? Not a whole lot that I had played had really gone to that level of depth. And it wasn't these like throwaway lines or anything, no, it's like they were asking about their day, and it's like, oh, they were asking, you know, all these personal details, and they were just having this just small talk and this banter, and it was just enjoyable. There was something just cozy about it, and it just, at that point, after I did the prologue, it just clicked. I don't know what it was. I wish I could tell you. I don't know, but the style of the game just clicked in my head, and that's it. Then I went and I played through, I binged after I finished FC. That was it. That was the slippery slope that I fell down. And after I finished FC, I immediately jumped into SC. After SC, I immediately went into Sky the Third. After Sky the Third, at this point, Zero and Azure were nowhere near out in the West. So I had to go and buy them from a Japanese website to download the Geofront patches. I had to play them that way. And I binged 5 Trails games in a row. So yeah, that was my first experience with Trails. And as far as first experiences go, what was my first experience with JRPGs? Pokemon Yellow. That was my very first experience with JRPGs. I know some people are going to be like, Pokemon's not a JRPG. I mean, it's turn-based. You get party members, you learn new moves, you get stronger, you level up. For all intents and purposes, Pokemon's a JRPG. I remember getting it for my 6th birthday? Along with my Game Boy Color, which is... yeah, it's right over there. I had the green one. I think I still have my copy of Pokemon Yellow, actually. Yeah, I played that game so much. Pokemon was my gateway into JRPGs. Alright, Zayon Time says, my question is there a character you didn't like or felt neutral about at first, but later on ended up liking? This answer may shock you. You definitely want to be sitting down for this one. Kevin. Yeah, I know, right? When I first met Kevin, I had the most negative first impression on him. I was just like, look at this Olivier wannabe. Oh my gosh. Just the way he was talking to Estelle, I was like, who is this? Who is this jerk? This insensitive jerk. And I did not like him at first. But then, of course, you know, as we slowly went through the whole prologue section with SC, it became very apparent that, you know, that was part of his personality, but he was also doing it for a different reason. And as the game kept going on, Kevin kept showing up again, was talking to him, and I had slowly started to warm up to him more and more. And then by the end of SC, well, he became a character I was most interested in. So when I found out he was actually the main character in Sky the Third, I was like, oh heck yeah. And well, Sky the Third sealed the deal, as Kevin being one of my favorite characters, so yeah. Mr. Applefan 44 says, I guess a major question for me to ask is, what got you interested to play or cover Trails / Falcom series? So yes, I just recently went through how I got interested in the series, but how did I get to a point where I wanted to cover the series as far as starting a YouTube channel? Well, I was not like a lot of other people. I never grew up wanting to be a content creator. I never looked at content creation and went, oh man, I want to become a content creator. I want to make it big and I want to have a massive following and make loads of money. That was for the furthest thing from my mind. It was something that, like, I had entertained the idea of it, like, every now and then, just as sort of like, oh, like, that could be fun. But it was something I never really had the means to do it either, until fairly recently, like, you know, like 6-7 years ago, is when I got my PC. But I didn't even have the means of doing it. I mean, I guess I could have just uploaded, you know, like, recordings on my really crappy phone, but anyway, besides the point. Just after playing through the Trails series, at the time, when I finished the series, we were up to Cold Steel 4. Reverie was not even out in Japan yet. And going through this series, I don't have to tell you guys, man, this series is just some of the most magical stuff that you can experience in a JRPG. When it clicks, when you connect with this stuff, man, it is unlike anything else out there. And I'm sure when we tell that to people, they're like, oh yeah, right. But it's like, man, if you fall for this series and it clicks for you, it is highly likely that it's going to become either your favorite thing ever or one of your favorite things ever. That's the Kiseki effect, baby. And anyway, I finished Cold Steel 4, and I had started going into this period of where I was just looking up different Let's Players. That's when I stumbled upon Twit Gamer, who he very graciously allows me to use clips of his stuff for my Sky videos, related videos. So yeah, I started falling down like the Let's Player rabbit hole. I started looking up like little bits of like things on the different wikis and stuff to sort of get more invested in just various different aspects, whether it be just NPCs or items in the world or lore stuff. And then Reverie came out. Actually, it was Hajimari. Hajimari came out, and there was an English patch, so I played that. And then shortly after that is when I stumbled upon Kevin Street, who is another person who fell victim to the Kiseki curse. He played through the games in like almost a year. Literally, it was like a couple days off from being a solid year from when he started FC, and he finished Reverie. But watching him go through his experience, especially, it was actually FC and SC that started this process, where it was just his passion for the games. It just awoke something inside of me that I was like, man. I think I even made a comment on, I think it was this SC review, where I said something along the lines of like, oh, I totally understand the people that they Let's Play or they stream like a very specific game, and like that's all they do because that's what they're passionate about. Like, I understand that mentality, and I think me making that comment kind of planted that seed of content creation in my brain. And seeing him just be so passionate is really what just influenced me to be like, you know what, that's something I want to do. And like, I didn't start the channel to get views, I didn't start it to get monetized, I didn't start it to get recognition or fame or any of that stuff. I started it simply because I just wanted to share my passion for the series, just how much I enjoyed it. Sorry, I'm talking so much, my voice is kind of going, so just bear with me here. As I was looking at the series, I was kind of like, well, Like, yeah, I can make list videos and just things that I just generally enjoy about the series. I can talk about that stuff, but I was like, well, there's all kinds of Trails-related stuff that I haven't experienced. In terms of, you know, there's future games that I could do Let's Plays of. There's all the Evo versions that I had never really listened to. So I was like, you know what, let's just start a channel of me going through this journey and just experiencing things that I'd never seen before. And of course that slowly turned into, you know, reaction videos to trailers, and eventually I ended up going down the East rabbit hole. And I ended up doing stuff with like Tokyo Xanadu, and so it's just kind of, I started out as this Trails channel, and then it's sort of slowly morphed into just a general Falcom channel. And it's like, where do I want to take this? It's still a journey that I want to go on. Right now, I just have more people that are interested in that journey. But as far as like just general things, like I do want to keep going with the Evo stuff. I know that keeps taking a while, and there's all these long breaks between, you know, releases and stuff, and I've been trying to think of ways to combat the wait, just so that I can get through those a lot quicker. And I think what's gonna have to end up happening is I'm just gonna have to, you know, swallow my pride, not treat those videos as like these crazy projects that I have to, you know, hyper edit and throw in all kinds of footage and stuff, and I just have to kind of treat them as maybe even sort of just like these kinds of videos, where maybe I just slap some gameplay over the whole thing. Maybe during the intro and the outro I just have the fireplace segments, and that's it. Seems very low effort to me, but that might be what I have to do to get through those a lot quicker. But I would love to do more just like Let's Plays of the various games that I have not played yet. One of the reasons that I started the channel was because I wanted to do Let's Plays of the Trails games and go through sort of this retrospective journey, having already played all of them. Just see how the knowledge of having everything, just seeing everything play out again, and being able to point out all the different puzzle pieces and be like, oh, this connects to that, and that connects to this. And, oh my gosh, I can't believe they referenced this here. And oh my gosh, they brought up Dreikels and FC, what? You know, just like there's so many things that they planted early on that were continued later. That is just, it's crazy. And of course, I love the games. That's definitely something that I want to do at some point. I know this kind of turned into what I want to do instead of how I got interested, but yeah, hopefully that answered that question. Weapons CI asked, what's my favorite game outside of the Trails series? Favorite game specifically? What pops up into my head when I hear favorite game that's not Trails is Fallout New Vegas. Just, that game was so good, and just I played it so much, and just the Western aesthetic, the desert backdrop, the fact that the story and everything was written by the old Obsidian team, and having played Fallout 2 somewhat recently, like 5 years ago, seeing like the little references and stuff to even the old games, it's like, ah, man, what Fallout could have been. Because that's the thing that I find special about Fallout. Fallout is kind of similar to the Trails series in that it does world building really well, and it creates this sort of pseudo 50s dystopian futuristic setting, and it does all kinds of just really cool things with technology and companies and these characters and things that you never see, you only hear of or read of. But it's somehow just so compelling because you go through the ruins of those places. You see them at their lowest state. And it's like, wow, these used to be these grand things with all these people, all these different machinations and ideals and thoughts. And you sort of just get little pieces, little glimpses into what things were like before the bombs fell. The lore of Fallout has always been one of my favorite aspects. I actually did at one point, was kind of sort of inspired by Mr. Matty Plays, or some of you guys might know him as Retro Rebound, to make a Fallout channel at one point, simply because of his passion for the Fallout series and the lore and everything. But I mean, of course, that never happened. And it's been so long since I've really done a deep dive into the lore and stuff that there's just a lot that I've forgotten about. But yeah, probably Fallout New Vegas. It was definitely one of my favorite games that's not Trails related. Okay, Pelthus, he gave me a whole smorgasbord of questions, and he says, feel free to pick any of them or none of them. Alright, Pelthus, see you later. I'm gonna skip. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Travel. Have I traveled to foreign countries? Nope. I have not traveled outside of my country, unfortunately. Is there a place I would really want to go to? I mean, the obvious answer is probably Japan. Simply because it's where a lot of the media and stuff comes from. And just, I mean, I'd like to see cherry blossom trees. And just all the different kinds of, like, the shrines and other tourist areas. I'd like to go to Akihabara, really. Just because that's the sort of the main, like, electronic city of Japan. As far as other places, I would love to go to Italy. I would also like to visit Canada one day. Well, as far as, I guess I technically have been to Mexico, but, I mean, not really. Yes, but no. Like, I've been in a tourist trap area of Mexico, but I've not actually been into, like, any other areas of Mexico. I don't even remember what the city was called. We went there on a cruise ship. For, what was that? Was that my 18th birthday? Or was that my 21st birthday? I don't remember. As far as anime, games, and music, watching your videos, we already know you have quite eclectic tastes. That's quite the way to phrase that. Thank you. But is there some stuff that you especially love? Well, I mean, I kind of been talking about a bunch of stuff, whether it's due to personal reasons or something you think is objectively better than most of your other creations. Are there some things that you would blindly recommend to others? Steins Gate. Yes. Some stuff you really like, but I feel like most people wouldn't understand why you like it so much. Is there something that I like? Well, I mentioned the Darkness series. I've mentioned... what else have I mentioned? I mean, Trails. As niche as it is. I mean, I feel like that's kind of, we're all in the same boat here. Yeah, I mean, probably survival games. There's probably a lot of people that look at survival games as like, oh, all you do is just collect materials and build random things and there's no story, or it's like, oh, isn't that boring? It's like, oh, that's the fun of it. Exploring the worlds and just, you never really know what you're gonna find, and building your own place. It's fun. I like those kinds of games. What other thing would I blindly recommend to people? Probably My Hero, Monster, Yu Yu Hakusho, as far as like anime goes. There's really nothing else that jumps out to me off the top of my head as far as like outside of other things that I've already mentioned in this video and just in the past. How do I see myself in comparison with other people? Personal philosophy or convictions, which are really defining yourself in your daily life. As far as like personal convictions and stuff goes, I mean, I just feel like it's really important to, as much as you can control it, because I know there's all kinds of just, you have bad days, certain things just maybe, you know, set you off or whatever, but it's always try to be kind to others. I know that sounds cliche, but it's like, it doesn't really cost anything to be kind, and you never really know who your words will affect and how deeply they could affect someone. Just like a simple act of kindness could mean the world to somebody. They could be going through the most horrible thing in their life and not talking about it to anybody, just dealing with it all on their own. And then you come in and, you know, just whatever you end up doing, it gives them sort of the will to keep going. How do I see myself in comparison with most people? Well, without getting too into things, I definitely feel like I've grown up with a lot of probably a similar mentality to a ton of people, which is, well, why a lot of people really connect with Reen as a main character. He has all kinds of personal doubts, and just he goes through bouts of depression, and he's got all kinds of self-worth issues, and it is something that a lot of people look at and, you know, they don't like it because either they do connect with him on that level and they don't like that they're seeing themselves in another character, or they're on the opposite side of the spectrum. They're like, oh, come on, just get over it. It's not a big deal, because they themselves, you know, are wired that way. They don't think that way. So it's not really something that they're capable of sort of stepping into somebody else's shoes and sort of seeing things through their eyes, which I would say I'm definitely, would it be empathetic or sympathetic? Whichever one, like to a fault, where like I can place myself in somebody else's shoes, and I can sort of feel what they feel, obviously not to the full extent, but I can sort of, I have a very, what's the word? Not visceral. I'll just say active imagination. And I can imagine just all kinds of things. And to me, the things that I imagine can in a sense almost not feel real, but I can sort of grasp them, and through emotions, I can be like, wow, that would be absolutely crazy to experience. Like, you know, seeing somebody deal with the loss of a loved one, or they're going through a rough time, either with school, or maybe a breakup, or they're fighting with their parents, and it's just, you know, I can sort of take the words that they say and sort of personalize it into myself, and sort of, in a sense, feel what they feel, and attempt to sort of connect with them on a personal level. And I do try, I think, a bit too much to help people. Like, I see somebody suffer, and I'm like, oh man. But it's like, I'm only one person, and I literally cannot help every single person that I see who is struggling. And again, like, I'm not a therapist or anything. I don't know the answers to everyone's personal problems. Reen is definitely a character that I really connect with on a lot of levels, which would make you think, oh, so he's your favorite character. No, he's not. You know, it's like, I like Estelle, I like Lloyd, I like Kevin a lot more than Reen. Even though I like those characters more than Reen, I do think Reen is a phenomenal character because he goes through all those things. He is very relatable. He's very human in his nature, and watching him, like, yes, of course, he has a bunch of he has all these crazy superpowers that he has to deal with, and he gets a giant robot. He gets the weight of the world put on his shoulders. It's like, he's relatable, but it's also not fully relatable. I don't think anyone else in the history of the world has gone through exactly what he's gone through, but it's all about the emotions put behind it, and watching him fluctuate, having his ups and his downs, and eventually getting to a point where he does come and he does accept himself, and he does allow himself to be happy. What would I do if I suddenly got $1 billion? Well, pay some things off, definitely put most of it into investments, you know, whether it be stocks or physical assets, like, you know, housing or rental properties, or just other things that you could, or like other physical assets that would just hold value over time. And honestly, probably not much would change in terms of like how I live. Like, I grew up very poor. Not super poor, but poor enough to the point where it was like, you can't really, you didn't have too much money to excessively spend on things. So, like, honestly, as long as I could, like, the most I would do would be, you know, go out to eat. Maybe it would probably increase, definitely. I go out to eat maybe a couple times a month, so it probably would be like maybe around like maybe a week instead of a few days a month. And I would just probably buy, you know, the occasional video game. I probably would invest a lot of it into the channel. Now, $1 billion, would that be enough? That probably would be enough for me to quit my current job, and then I could just do YouTube full-time as like a hobby, while just investing in other things and expanding my portfolio, or whatever it is that those guys say. But yeah, probably not a whole lot would change. I would definitely ensure that probably my parents were well off, that they didn't really have anything to worry about. Yeah, that's really it. I already answered the Cyrus Bright question. How do I spend my daily or weekly free time? I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, this last, like, almost year, basically most of my free time has been put into this whole YouTube thing. It is definitely a lot more time consuming than I initially thought. Now, a lot of that is due to how I go about editing things. Like, the average video, for instance, takes anywhere from like 6 to, I wouldn't say 10, but like 6 to like 8 hours to make. And some days I've got a couple hours, some days I don't really have any free time. So yeah, most of my free time is definitely into YouTube as of right now. I do try to play things when I can, find some free time here and there, like 30 minutes here, like an hour there. But for the most part, it's like, oh, if I don't work on a video, because these take so long, I'll never get anything done. which again leads me back to the point of where I'm probably just gonna have to not go as hard as far as certain series goes, just to make sure that I give myself a little more free time than normal. I do definitely sometimes I feel like I have to make content or else people will forget about me. That is definitely not a good habit to fall into. I would say my overall attitude is definitely healthy. I mean, I definitely have a very strong, like, working man's attitude, where, like, when I sit down to do a job, I don't really stop until it's done. Now you could say that's unhealthy, but it's like, I mean, I guess in a sense it is. Especially if, like, you know, you're not drinking water or you're not eating. I do that stuff. Like, it's not that. But, like, when I'm working on something, I get very focused. And I get to the point where I don't want to stop. I don't want to take a break. I don't want to, you know, give myself some free time to go play something. It's like, oh, I could just be working on this. As far as, like, certain video types, I definitely think I need to tone down the reaction style videos in terms of just the amount of time I spend editing those. As far as any future Let's Plays go, I think I would still like to, like, just create the normal random edits that I do, and the East Let's Plays will definitely be the same level of quality as the first one was, where I create, like, full skits and just random stuff, because that's fun. I definitely need to find more of a balance between, like, the super easy to edit content, and then the really, you know, this takes a lot of time to edit content. Instead of how I am currently, it's like treat almost every single video as, I gotta hyper edit this. Which, like, has that contributed to my success? As far as reaching, like, 1,000 subscribers? Probably? I'm actually not sure. Like, do people subscribe to me because of the editing, or do they subscribe to me because of the content, you know, itself, in terms of what I'm talking about? Do they subscribe to me for me personally? Like, I generally don't know. I actually don't know. That is something that I'm interested to learn more about. I would think it's probably more of a combination of everything. What is my favorite season or weather? I would definitely say fall. Fall is my favorite season. My favorite weather is cold. Cold weather, but not so cold that you need to wear, you know, 20 layers and that it's a blizzard outside. But, like, around, like, 60 degrees Fahrenheit is, like, my perfect ideal temperature. Because it is hot right now. It's like 80, 90, 100 most days. Oh, and it makes sleeping especially rough. Like, I lay there and I'm like, oh god, it's so hot. Help me, please. I hate hot weather. I like stats. I was wondering if you were often looking at your YouTube analytics. Yeah, all the time. Which video succeeded the most? Well, the Tails video succeeded the most in terms of views. A couple Kai videos have done pretty well too. Which one flopped the most? Sadly, I mean, well, what would you consider flopping? Like, because it depends. Because certain Evo videos, you could look at those and be like, oh, they flopped because they have, like, only, like, 50 views on them. But you also have to remember, back then, a lot of those early Evo videos, I didn't even have, like, 10 or 20 subscribers. And those videos have kind of been slowly building up over time. I mean, I know Silver Whale is, like, the big one, but that one has, like, it's close to 500 in terms of views, which is really good for one of those videos. But as far as which videos flopped the most, if we're going strictly based off of views, the East videos they're kind of in the middle. Like, especially with, like, things that I've done now. Even though a lot of stuff I've done now is very, you know, topical, so of course those videos are gonna get more views. But, like, the East videos, I'd say they kind of teeter. Like, they did pretty well, but in terms of, now if we want to jump into, like, the average view duration, which in YouTube terms they call it AVD, which is how long the average length of the video that was watched. Most of my reaction videos actually kind of flop. Even the ones that have, like, loads of views, I have noticed that reaction videos tend to perform the worst. It doesn't matter how long a reaction video is, and it doesn't really matter what I talk about or what I do in those reaction videos. If it's just strictly watching the trailer and barely talking about it, or if it's watching the trailer and going into full-on breakdown mode, or just talking about just various aspects of the trailer. Like, the average view duration of those videos is anywhere from, like, 2 to 3 minutes. So, you know, my average length for videos seems to be around like 8 to 10 minutes. So 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes on a 10-minute video, that's only 20 to 30% that's watched, and that's kind of not good in YouTube's eyes. I've done a little bit of research, and apparently, like, for the super, like, popular mega channels, their average view duration is like 50% and above. Now, a lot of it could be the fact that at the time, I'm a fairly new channel. Depending on the videos that I make, I could get a bunch of new viewers who maybe aren't used to the style of content that I make. And it could just be that I just haven't become as established as I need to be. I haven't really established that loyal fan base, which I would definitely say I have established that more now, but I mean in terms of like back then. And I think just reaction videos as a whole, most people just click on them because they want to skim through and they want to get to the good parts of the video, and then they just want to leave. So, I mean, I've done the same thing with a couple reaction videos before, so it's like, it's not that I blame people for doing that, but on the creator end, it does suck when you see a video, especially some of those reaction videos. I would spend, like I said, 8 to 10 hours editing them, and it's like, man, people only watch 2 minutes, this video's 10 minutes, man, it's kind of, it can be a bit deflating, especially looking at the numbers and the way YouTube frames things. Because they'll take your channel average, and depending on how the video does stats-wise, there will either be green up arrows indicating, hey, this video is performing better than normal. Or there will be neutral, that it's like, oh yeah, this video is performing about the same. Or there will be gray down arrows indicating, hey, you know, this video is not doing too good. It's kind of on life support. So seeing a lot of those down arrows can be just like a blow to your not morality. A blow to your morale. So there have definitely been a couple of times where like I had a couple videos just back to back not really perform the greatest, despite comments telling me otherwise, right? Like I always get comments that are like, oh, these videos are so good, oh, I really enjoy your videos. But then I look at the analytics and they tell me a different story, and I'm just like, who do I believe? Do I believe the 3 people that said they really liked the video, or do I believe the analytics that tell me that most people didn't? For whatever reason. That's the thing, the analytics are deceptive because they don't tell you the reason. You know, it's like people could just be looking for a specific thing, people could just not vibe with your overall demeanor, or just the style that you go for. There's all kinds of things and variables and factors in play. And it's just, that's why a lot of people just say, don't even look at analytics, alright? Because it's just, it is demoralizing. And if you just look at analytics all day, there's only so much information that you can glean from them. So it's like, you gotta kind of focus more on building up that loyal fan base. That way you get more of you become more consistent in terms of your videos and stuff, and how they perform, which is something I am kind of seeing now a little bit here and there. So that's good. It's like we're definitely on the upward trajectory. Does that have to do with, you know, me improving the quality of the content, me getting better at editing, me getting better at making thumbnails, although there's some recent thumbnails I've made that I've kind of slapped together last minute? I don't know. Like I said, there's all kinds of variables and factors that go into this whole content creation thing. And at the end of the day, it's like, it really isn't worth stressing over. It's like, again, this is just a hobby for a lot of people. I don't ever see myself getting to the point where I'm getting tens of thousands of views a video, and I'm getting sponsors, and I'm making, you know, like a couple $100 a video in terms of ads. Is that possible? I don't know. Sure, I guess. Anything is possible, right? But it's like, is it realistic? The answer is no. It is not something I'm expecting either. Like I said, I wasn't even expecting 100 subscribers, and here we are at 1100. So, what do I know? I don't know anything. I'm still new to this whole thing, man. I'm just making things up as I go along, essentially. Just trying to pick up the pieces and pick up any clues and scraps of knowledge that I can, whether it's from my own videos and their performance, or just watching other people's videos and taking little bits of little editing things from them and adapting it to my own style. It's a whole process. It's a never-ending process. And I think as long as you go into it with the right attitude, in the sense that there's always something new to learn, and there's always something that you can improve. I think that is definitely the attitude for success. Does it mean you'll get success? No. But it's definitely a better attitude to have than like, oh, what's the point? Oh, nobody watches my videos anyway. Oh, I'll never get monetized. I'll never become famous. It's like, it's all in the mindset, you know? And last question. Do I like tea? Yes. If so, what is my favorite kind of tea? Yorkshire tea. And yes, I did get that from a certain spiffing Brit. Have I ever tried Yorkshire Gold? No, I have not. Just tried the pleb Yorkshire tea. But it's very good tea. I'm also a big fan of green tea. Whether it's the tea bags or just the loose leaf, just put it in your own, stew it in your own pot, brand of tea. Green tea is very good. Pelthus, thank you for all those questions, buddy. Hope these answers were satisfactory. Ooh, Green Lord asks, if I could grow up in Zemuria, where would I like to live? What kind of life would I take on? Bracer, police, class 7, NPC. This is something that I've actually thought of. Okay, so I would definitely want to be a bracer. I probably would want to live in Liberl, just because I like the more countryside, open aesthetic that a lot of Liberl has. But I would like to be a bracer that sort of gets dispatched to all around the world. You know, sort of, you get to help people, but you also get to sort of see the sights a bit. You just see a lot of things that you really wouldn't see if you stayed in one place. As far as a weapon that I would want to use, I have thought of something a long time ago, which is actually something kind of similar to Swin's dual blades. It would essentially be, think of like a greatsword like agates, but I don't know how this would work. Either some kind of technological advancement, or maybe even some kind of like ancient Zemurian artifact where it sort of can absorb various different elements and sort of like weapon switch, kind of like Bloodborne, where you can absorb the different elements depending on your location, and the sword would take on the properties of that element. So, you know, it absorbs fire, it gets on fire, it absorbs water, it sort of has sort of like ice properties to it, it absorbs wind, it's easier to shred things, etc., etc. Sort of think of like there's the Dragon's Dogma has mage spells where you can, it's like infusing a weapon with an element. Sort of something like that, but where it absorbs the elements around it. Either using the power of the septium veins, or some kind of artifact that's inside of it that acts as sort of a conduit for that kind of stuff. I just think that'd be a pretty cool weapon to have. Red Rim Disco asks, how about my favorite moment from every Trails game? Well, that is, like I told him that's like, oh, that's an idea for like a whole separate video. But I did say I would pick like top 3 moments for me. To avoid spoilers, one is the beach scene from 2nd chapter. If you know, you know. Another favorite moment is all the farewell moments from Sky the Third. Just because, man, when I got to that point, it really did feel like I got to know these people on a personal level, and it felt like friends that I was genuinely saying goodbye to, and that I might never see ever again. It's an experience that I can't really put into words. That moment will forever be ingrained in my head. As far as a third moment, well, let's just say the scene at the end of Azure, where Lloyd is talking to a certain someone, and Gazing at Your Back starts playing. That scene destroyed me. Yeah, I would definitely need to make a video to go into more details and stuff. But as far as from a general sense, those are 3 of my favorite moments in the whole series. Ishtar Bernard asks, what is the best seasoning for a cooked person? Paprika. Specifically smoked paprika. Just the nice smoky, tangy flavor of the paprika really accentuates the sweetness of the human meat and brings out the hidden flavors. Thank you for this wonderful question. Cyrus, you came up with that answer pretty quick. Is there something you want to share with the rest of the class? Well, you see, I'm a part-time cannibal. Don't boot up my New Vegas save file. Half the NPCs are missing. Don't ask why. Oh man. I actually have never done like a cannibal playthrough. I always thought of it. Just because it'd be so crazy. I needed a funny comment like that. My set list has said, did I like the Divine Knight battles and co-op crafts, and would I like for them to return? Yes. I very much enjoyed the Divine Knight battles. I thought they were a nice breath of fresh air. They controlled differently from just the normal battles. And they had a different layer of strategy to them that I really appreciated. And, I mean, anytime a Divine Knight battle happened, it played epic music. So, yes. Co-op crafts, yes, I would like them to return. The co-op crafts were a really cool aspect of the early games. The real Maruki says, thoughts on Pokemon? Well, I mean, I grew up with Pokemon. Pokemon Yellow, I said, was my first JRPG. I grew up watching the anime. Even to this day, like 20 years later, Ash is still somehow 10 years old. Oh wait, no. Ash isn't the main character anymore, that's right. I stopped watching Pokemon during, like the, Gen 3 era, somewhere around there. And I never really kept up with it. I would tune in every now and then. I think I watched a couple of episodes from the Black and White era. Who is the character? Was it Serena? Was that who was with him? Yeah, I stopped watching, like, when Ash was traveling with Dawn. Oh wait, no, that's Gen 4. Okay, so yeah, no, I watched up until Gen 4. As far as the games go, yeah, well, games are alright. I definitely think, I mean, they are trying, right? They tried a new style of game with Arceus. They've tried various spin-offs in the past. Pokemon Coliseum is my favorite Pokemon game ever. Pokemon Ranger was really fun. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is one that I haven't played too much. I've only played the first one. But, like, Sword and Shield felt very meh to me. I did like the open world area. I liked that aspect of the game, but a lot of the rest of the game, the way that the quote-unquote gyms were structured, the story of it, it wasn't very interesting to me. I have played a little bit of Violet and whatever the other one is, I forget the name of it. But that one is completely open world. I actually did enjoy my time with that one far more than I did with Sword and Shield. So I'm very interested to see what the next mainline Pokemon is. I really hope they get some actual time to invest into a proper, like, new gen Pokemon game, whatever that ends up being. Because I would like to see Pokemon. I mean, it's not like they have to do anything to Pokemon, right? The games sell billions of copies on their own. It's the one series that doesn't need to innovate. It doesn't need to change, and it would sell copies. But I would like to see a change. What that change specifically is, I'm not too sure. I would like to see them do more things with open world stuff. I do think that is cool. And the stuff that I have seen in the newer game has been a lot of fun. And I do like the raid battles. I think those are really fun. But I think they need to invest more time in just a better story and better characters. Now, Renoma, whatever the rival's name is, in the new games, I really like her. I have not liked any of the rival characters since Gen 3. I just felt they were just super generic and super, oh, haha, we're all best of friends. And it's like, yeah, I get it, it's a kid's game at the end of the day, but I kinda miss Gary being a butthead. Zoom 7K, aka Brother Zoom. He's somebody I met through Cali Q. Just wanted to ask what got you into YouTube, your future goals, and will you do Let's Plays on the channel? Well, I've already talked about what first got me into YouTube, but future goals is something that I didn't really discuss. In terms of just continuing the journey with experiencing anything Falcom related that will either come out in the future or that has been released in the past that I just haven't experienced. I would like to do other series, other franchises, off the top of my head, like Kingdom Hearts, possibly Xenoblade, Yakuza definitely. As far as the types of videos, I'm not sure because I don't think I'm necessarily one of those like super deep dive type of personalities. where I go headfirst into the lore and do all these, you know, crazy backstory explanation videos, kind of like Elden Ring, or just like FromSoft games in general, those content creators. I don't want to aim too high, necessarily. I would like to keep things relatively simple in terms of just the videos that I make currently, along with the occasional review. I would like to add Let's Plays into the repertoire. Maybe some like character analysis videos. I've thought of a couple of those. Oh, I'd like to do more list type videos. I think those would definitely be somewhat interesting and add a bit more variety too. I have a lot of ideas and stuff written down. It's just, you know, finding the time to do a lot of that stuff on top of the stuff that I do normally is sometimes like almost feels impossible. And since we're on the topic of Let's Plays, I actually have done a Let's Play Zoom. I did a Let's Play of Ys 1, the Chronicles Plus version, which I played that one through Steam. And that's sort of that's gonna definitely be a running joke, a running gag on the channel, is, hey Cyrus, when are you gonna get to Ys 2? Even long after I've beaten Ys 2 or played Ys 2 with the channel. Some ideas that I've had. I have a massive backlog. I definitely showed it in the video. I don't know if I showed the whole thing, but I showed some of it. As far as doing Let's Plays of those games, I think certain games, yes, I would like to do that. As far as the form, either just very simple, very lightly edited videos, or certain videos I'll do more highly edited things. It'll kind of be like a touch and go situation, I feel, when I eventually do dip my toes back into that type of video format. But I have thought of maybe I could either through Discord or just streaming on the channel, or maybe I would create a separate channel. I don't know if I would necessarily, I don't know if, or maybe if I ever create a Patreon in the future, I could just have it be like a free tier where I just record myself playing a game and I just take that recording and I do absolutely nothing to it and I just upload it for people to just, you know, watch it in its rawest form, in its most purest states. Because I've also wanted to do that not just with games in my backlog, but games that I've already played that I would love to just do showcases of, or just do playthroughs of, in hopes that maybe it could introduce those games to potentially new people, in the same way that I want to introduce Trails to more people. I could take games like, would be an easy game to play, like Fallout New Vegas or the Mass Effect trilogy. I would love to do playthroughs of the Yakuza games at some point, and just sort of show off why I like those games in the first place. And even if it doesn't necessarily act as a gateway for people to play themselves, it could serve as a way for people to get into those games and experience something that they otherwise maybe never would have, had they not watched me personally play through it. So yeah, I've got tons of ideas and tons of things that I've thought of, and will a lot of those ideas ever come to fruition? I'm not sure. Only time will really tell, right? Because also, it's like, yeah, I could stream, but it's like I've never done streaming before, and that's something that I'm kind of nervous to really try. Because with editing, you can edit out all your mistakes, which just in me recording this section, I've already had to redo like 4 different parts for various reasons. But with live streaming, it's in the name, right? It's live. You make a mistake, everybody sees it, and it's there forever. And maybe I just am thinking too much into it. I definitely feel like I would like to do a test run at some point, whether that's through the channel at some point in the future, or just like on Discord to a select group of people. It's definitely something I want to just give it a go, and just see if it's even something that I'm built for. Like, making videos and live streaming are 2 entirely separate beasts. And somebody could be really good at putting together videos, but they're really boring when it comes to live streams, or vice versa. They're extremely entertaining when it comes to live streams, but when it comes to edited videos, there's just something about it that they're not quite good at. They're not good at the editing aspect itself. They're not good at placing things, making jokes, writing a script. So it's like there's all kinds of factors in play. But like I said, it's all of this is a learning process, and wherever this channel ends up going, it'll be dictated by, well, me, since I'm the helmsman guiding this massive ship. It'll also be dictated by mostly the audience, right? As long as people enjoy things that I do, it's like that's really what's most important at the end of the day. So, Brother Zoom, thank you so much for your question. I hope this was a satisfactory answer. Nikita, when will I finally play East 2? That's a good question. Like I said before, I want to get through the rest of the Evo series before I get to East 2, and there's like 12 songs left. But it's like, I do apologize that with how long it is taking me to get to East 2. But I definitely think this is the push that I need to sort of stop editing things as heavily as I do, and just push out more, I wouldn't say low effort content, because even just like adding the backgrounds and Kevin's faces and stuff, like even that takes a lot of time to do. But just more content that I can produce faster. And East 2 will be, as I said, after the Evo stuff. What crazy shenanigans will I get into? Well, I have a whole list of stuff ready. How will I incorporate that into the story of East 2? Well, that'll kind of be up to me and my ad-libbing skills to decide. Because I have no idea what to expect with East 2. So yeah, that'll be fun. How many Pikkard nuggets are in a bucket? Well, you need to know for science. Well, Adol is a professional at counting Pikkard nuggets, don't you know? He goes to Pikkard King every day. He orders a giant bucket of them. Let's see, I think there's about 40 nuggets in a bucket. Adol's got the kind of a crazy metabolism. I mean, he needs all that energy, right? All that food to power him, all his wild, crazy, wacky adventures he goes on. He burns through a lot of calories, saving the world. How long did it take me to beat all the Trails games available at the time? Well, if we're not counting time that I took breaks between games, I probably would say maybe 6 months, 6-7 months, if we're not counting break time or downtime. Because I went through Sky and the Crossbell games within the span of like 3 months. I don't know, maybe not even 3 months. Maybe it was like 2. Maybe it was a little over 2. Maybe it was like 2.5. I went through them quick. And why do English YouTubers keep butchering the easiest names in existence? I don't know. Ask them. Alisa is not named Alyssa. Oh yeah, that's right. I call her Alisa. Lisa. And I guess people call Alisa Alyssa, even though there isn't 2 S's, and that's not how it's spelled. But I don't know. I mean, how many times have I mispronounced words? And I speak English, so I don't know. People mispronounce things because they just don't know how to say it. It's just the easiest thing. Agito says, who's my favorite VTuber? This one's pretty easy. In terms of English VTuber, it's definitely Gura. I love her singing voice, and she's funny. She's just a little gremlin. But I really like when she sang the Song of the Ancients from Nier. That song on its own is beautiful, and her rendition of it was phenomenal. As far as on the Japanese side of things, Korone, definitely. She's funny. She's really funny. And I love how she tries to like incorporate as much like English as she can into her streams, because she does get a lot of like overseas viewers. And I just remember watching the clips of her playing Mario Brothers and doing English only. Have confidence. And then she dies. No confidence.
Have confidence. No confidence.
Yeah, I definitely get a lot of I haven't watched very many actual streams. I watch a lot of like clip channels, and I get most of my information from like from various different VTubers from a channel called Coefficient. I watch him a lot. He's kind of like my go-to channel for anything in like the VTuber sphere. Okay guys, we're almost done. We got 2 more. Scholar Vangestel. I butchered the hell out of that. So, see, Nikita? It's very easy to butcher things. Should open up my own meat shop. Okay, so I have two. A multi-partner... I think it means multi-parter. Most overrated Trails character and most overhated Trails character. I definitely think the most overhated Trails character is Reen, honestly. Like we've mentioned before. It's funny because people call him Mr. Perfect, but he's far from perfect. He messes up all the time. He learns that, oh yeah, the power of friendship is something that I can use to be happy, and then he regresses back into his old mentality. And also, you know, people do kind of overstate the harem aspect. Like, really, it's just in the side content, in the bonding events. Within the main story, it's like, yeah, characters do kind of flirt with Reen here and there, but it's not super, like, it isn't a straight up harem. It's just like people having interest in him, and it's because he's such an easy character to sort of, in a sense, fall for, right? Because he's super helpful, he's super nice, he's super strong, he's dependable despite his flaws. If I were a girl, I'd fall for him too. As far as overrated Trails character, this one's interesting. This one's very interesting. A character that everybody likes that I think doesn't deserve the fame. I don't know. I don't know if there's an overrated Trails character, because I like most Trails characters. I can't really think of one for that specific question. Maybe Luve? But Luve's cool. Luve's cool. I like his stuff with the cast. I like his moments in the games. He is a character that a lot of people, like Crow, he's a character that a lot of people really love. I think it is deserved though. Would I say that it's overrated? I mean, slightly, maybe slightly overrated, but not too overrated. Just a smidge. I mentioned that I like visual novels. What's my favorite that I've read? Steins Gate. I love Steins Gate, man. The story of Steins Gate is so good. Steins Gate 0, man, those two were so emotional. I also really enjoyed Chaos Child. That was one that it's a part of the science adventure series. It's a very different atmosphere. Borders on like horror type of visual novel. I do own, what is it, Robotics Notes? Yeah, that's what it is. I own that one. And I know that one kind of loosely connects to Steins Gate in a way. I don't know how, but that's one that I need to play at some point. As far as like Danganronpa, do those count as visual novels? Same with like Ace Attorney. I think those count as sort of visual novel-esque games. Because there is a lot of reading. Would Trails be considered a visual novel? I mean, there is a lot of reading. Are they visual novels disguised as JRPGs? I don't know. And well... Dan, being smart, he's being cute, asks face reveal time. You know, Dan, since you are our final guest, our most wonderful of guests, just for you and nobody else, here you go, man.
Behind this mask. Behind that mask is another mask. What a twist!
I hope you got everything you wanted, Dan, from this video. What a way to end it, with a funny meme. Well, that's every question. So I hope I had a lot of interesting things to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Feel free to subscribe if you're somehow here and you made it to the end. I mean, if you did, I gotta applaud you. This video is gonna be like at least an hour. Probably an hour and a half. I talked a lot more than I thought I would. So yeah, if you're still here and you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Come on. If you like my content this much already, I guarantee you'll like everything else that I've made and everything I'll make in the future. It's gonna be a good time, just trust me. Trust your old pal Cyrus. I'll never lead you astray. I don't know why I devoted to this like Italian accent. And a big special thank you to my current channel members. If anybody wants to support the channel, links are in the description. Take care, everybody. We get out of here. On to bigger and better things. Let's see just how high we can get this channel. Because at the end of the day, no one knows what the future will hold. And that's why Its potential is infinite. Peace out.
All right, what's next?